The one with Rachel's dream is the 19th episode of season 9 of Friends. This is directed by Terry Hughes, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And with this one I have grouped my thoughts into 3 categories, the 3 main parts of the narrative. So I will talk about Joey and Rachel first, and then Monica and Phoebe, and then Chandler and Ross. And everybody, I didn't time it of course, but everybody seems to get an equal amount of screen time here. Everybody has pretty much an equally important role to play, and that's really unusual. Unless it's one of the, for example, holiday-themed episodes where everybody's in the room together for the whole film, or the whole episode rather, it's unusual, and I think that was really pleasant to see. So Joey has some big scenes coming up, and he's not confident in his abilities to accurately or successfully perform these more romantic scenes. He's very nervous about it. He's practicing with a pineapple, and then he invites Rachel down to the set, and I think Rachel's overexcited response while on set felt very believable, and it's great to see Joey performing as well. It's always nice to see him doing what he does well, and we have occasionally seen him acting not very well, but for the most part it's always nice to see him and to see where this success is coming from. And Joey wants Rachel to read lines with him, so she does, and it's very romantic, it's really beautiful, and she goes off script and says, "Kiss me," and she's asking Joey to kiss her. It's not in the script, and then she wakes up. And it was a bizarre moment, and she realizes with some help from Monica that she's actually attracted to Drake Ramori, not to Joey, and this is confirmed. It's confirmed when Rachel goes back home and Joey has peanut butter on the back of his neck because he forgot to put the cap on the blender, or he couldn't find the cap for the blender, and that confirmed for Rachel that it was definitely Drake and not Joey. And Joey is still nervous about his scenes with Olivia, and he admits to Rachel that he's only ever been in love once, with Rachel. And I think the scene went as well as it could have done. It obviously is a little bit awkward if somebody you've rejected tells you you're the only person they've ever been in love with, and he says all of these beautiful things, and it's so moving. And I'm not a huge fan. I don't know how I feel about the whole Joey in love with Rachel story. It's nice to really dig deep into some real raw feelings with Joey, but at the same time it's a little bit awkward. But that scene when Joey says all of this was really moving and beautiful, and really, really well done. So the story with Joey and Rachel it's really nice to see. We then come to Monica and Phoebe, and this one is just a joy with some really brilliant dialogue. Monica's restaurant's doing really well. They are booked up solid, absolutely fantastic. And Phoebe, having heard that there are a lot of customers, takes it upon herself to start busking outside the restaurant. And she's singing about human spleens and women who smell like garbage. And needless to say, it's not exactly the kind of music to have outside of a fine dining restaurant. And Monica and Phoebe get into this huge argument, and it is so well written. The back and forth is fantastic. The insults are brilliant, and it's so funny and so engaging, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And then they end this fight by going into the restaurant, and Phoebe and Monica are asking the clients if they like the food, or if the food doesn't taste right, or if the music's terrible. And then Phoebe says, and I love this, I think this is so beautifully delivered, she says, "Who thinks the food is fine, the music was fine, but your evening was ruined by this incessant poll taking?" And everybody puts their hands up, which I thought was fabulous and a great way to round it off. They both then apologise to each other. All's well that ends well. It's a funny part of the episode, very, very well written, really great back and forth, and really great to have some music from Phoebe as well, even though I do agree with Monica that not necessarily just with fine dining. I don't think it's necessarily appropriate for a busking performance to be singing about spleens. In any other context, absolutely fine, but unsolicited songs about spleens might not be the best thing to go with. Really thoroughly enjoyed it though. And then we come to Chandler and Ross. Chandler, very sweetly, surprised Monica with a stay at an inn in Vermont, but Monica's really busy at the restaurant. Chandler can't get his money back. He can't get the reservation cancelled, so Ross is going to go. And Ross said, "Won't it be a bit weird?" To which Monica responds, None if the room has 2 beds. And this is the thing I have an issue with. Because why would the room have 2 beds? Why would Chandler have booked a room with 2 beds? Now, one could argue maybe he called them again and at least said, well, if you can't cancel my reservation, can you at least switch it to a room with 2 beds rather than a room with a double bed? Maybe, but when they arrive, Ross and Chandler arrive, we find out that they don't have any rooms left. So it's really, really unlikely that that would have happened. So it's a little bit of an oversight, because the room wouldn't have had 2 beds, and it doesn't seem like Chandler had the option to change the room either. So it's a tiny, tiny issue, but it did annoy me a little bit. Obviously, Chandler and Ross go there. Ross is high on maple candy, and they'd messed up the reservation. There is no record of Chandler's reservation, which I have to say would be very frustrating. And the only room that's left is the deluxe suite, which Chandler takes and has to pay for. But now they're out of a lot more money, so they're going to find ways to make that money back. And as Ross points out, you have to find the line between stealing and taking what the hotel owes you. For example, not the salt shaker, but the salt inside. Basically, if it's a consumable and you could rightly consume it while you're there, you can take it. Not really sure I agree with the light bulbs one, but I suppose technically you're consuming the light and it will need to be replaced. But the salt, yeah, it kind of makes sense. And throughout the episode, we see them taking different things, and Ross is trying to find his maple candy because Chandler's hidden it. And at the very end, they're about to leave, and the suitcase bursts open, everything falls out. Ross finds his candy, and it was quite a fun moment. And we end the episode with Ross coming over to Monica and Chandler's apartment, and he's all maple candied up again. And it was a funny way to end things, and a good look at what too much sugar can do if you have a sugar rush. And ultimately, it was a good part of the episode. Yes, I'm still a little bit annoyed about the fact that the room wouldn't have 2 double beds. It doesn't seem like Chandler could have changed the room, and then ultimately they had no record of the reservation. Unless this is me just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Chandler phoned back later on and said, can you change it from a double to 2 beds? And they did that, but they cancelled the double bed reservation and didn't properly book in the room with the 2 beds instead. So instead of swapping it, they cancelled it. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe we could look at it like that. I don't really believe that's what would have happened. I think they would have explained that if that had been the case. But again, benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's the scenario. Either way, though, not a big deal, despite the fact I've spent a considerable amount of time talking about it. The one with Rachel's Dream is a really solid episode. Personal highlights would have to be seeing Joey perform, seeing Joey read lines. The argument between Monica and Phoebe, beautifully, beautifully executed. And Chandler and Ross in general, really good fun. No complaints, believe it or not, no real complaints. And ultimately, it's a really solid episode of Friends.